something years not to say. I threw with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late.
Welcome. Oh, I'm going to cry all the way through this. My name is Jennifer McGuire. My fiance and I drove up from Visalia today because we're getting married. And not partnered and not unionized or unionated, but actually married. And that's what we're celebrating today. So I want to welcome everyone. We have some amazing speakers that are going to come and speak with everyone. Couple housekeeping things. There is water and drinks for sale in the blue tent right behind everyone. Also, there is a need for a few volunteers. We need a couple people to kind of help with some of the stage stuff as well as pass out some literature. If you would be interested in doing that, please come back over here and someone will gladly give you a job. Also, at the end of the program, we're going to kind of do an open mic. So if you would like to sign up and come up here and talk a little bit about what these historic decisions mean to you and your family and our community, there's a sign-up sheet again at the blue tent, and we will be happy to let you come up here and share your words of wisdom with us as well. So, without further ado, we're going to get just a quick legal overview. So Robert is going to come up and tell us a little bit about the legality of what happened today.
Basically, the two decisions that came down today didn't either one necessarily directly address the constitutionality of same-sex marriage, but obviously they made it possible to spread far and wide now in the United States. Taking the Proposition 8 case first, as you know the history, the California Supreme Court had made a decision that marriage was constitutional. Proposition 8 came to change that. The voters passed it. It was the first amendment to the state constitution that actually restricted anybody's civil liberties rather than expanded them. And then the proponents of Proposition 8 took the case to the federal district court. And in a long case, and then a very long-awaited decision from Judge Vaughn, he found that Proposition 8 was unconstitutional because it denied equal protection to people who were who should be allowed to marry the same as anyone else. So then they took it up on appeal. But a very important thing happened at that particular juncture. When the proponents sued over, when the petitioners came in to sue over Proposition 8, they had as the defendants the people who brought the petition and the governor of the state of California and another official, I can't remember whom.
Attorney General.
At that juncture, yeah, the Attorney General, the governor and the Attorney General said, well, you know, we're not going to defend this because we think Proposition 8 is bad law. So, but they were still parties to the case that went forward and the trial that happened on Proposition 8. When Vaughn overturned Proposition 8, the proponents, the plaintiffs in the district court went up to the Ninth Circuit and sued, but they didn't take, but Brown and the Attorney General said, we're not going to have any party to the appeal. And so they were not parties at the Ninth Circuit. And so the proponents found somebody that the California Supreme Court said could stand in as proponents for Proposition 8, and those became the parties up on appeal. That went to the United States Supreme Court. That overturned Proposition 8 again. They went up to the United States Supreme Court, and what the court said today, you don't get to have that to challenge this law because you're not the right people. The only right people that you could have sued over overturning Proposition 8 were the state officials, and they're gone. So the case goes back to the Ninth Circuit. It will vacate the decision of the Ninth Circuit, but it will leave intact the decision of the district court, which found that any restriction on same-sex marriage is unconstitutional. So in effect, the Supreme Court wasn't going to rule on the constitutionality of it, but they're going to let the ruling that was already made on the constitutionality of it go forward. It's going to be delayed somewhat. There's going to be at least 25 days in the Supreme Court to allow the other side for a petition for rehearing in the Supreme Court, which I'm sure will go nowhere if they do that. And then it has to come back to Court of Appeals for some rigmarole, but in not very long, the whole thing will be undone and same-sex marriage will be constitutional. Marriages will begin, as Governor Brown said today, he wanted that to start happening as soon as possible. The other act is DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, the federal law that prohibits same-sex marriages recognized in the various states that recognize them to get the federal benefits that married people do, such as tax law and other health provisions and things like that. That was overturned in a 5-4 decision by Justice Kennedy. And basically what he said is that the federal government didn't have the right to tell the states that they can't allow to have same-sex marriages. It was, and in some of the best language I've seen from Justice Kennedy, he talked about how it was a demeaning, insulting, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but he talked about the insult, basically, that DOMA inflicted on people who had a who rightfully should have received these benefits, but for DOMA. So that got struck down, and now people in the military and in other situations, now you can file your tax returns jointly. It's a pleasure. Anyway, that's it. Good luck. Thanks for all your work. To the people who did it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One of the numbers that's been thrown around a lot over the last couple of years is there are over 1,100 rights and benefits associated with federal protection, marriage protection, which we now have. I do want to point out that with those rights also come some responsibilities. So I'm going to talk to all of our people here planning on getting married. Don't forget about the responsibilities, and specifically some of our serial monogamy people. You know who you are. New relationship every 6 to 8 months, including the U-Haul, the dog's names Zena, Tawanda, and Ellen. So be careful when you sign that piece of paper now, because it's legally binding. So our next speaker is Russell Nolan.
Well, good afternoon. I'm a little jealous right now. I have to rush to a rehearsal for Woodward Shakespeare, so there are going to be so many parties, I know, and I'm really jealous. So feel free to message me on Facebook where they're happening, and I get out maybe latest at 10 if you want to go. I'm also very honored. This is my first time I get to get translated into sign language, so I'm tempted to add a few interesting words to see what comes out. All right, so when I first decided to work with Marriage Equality Fresno many years ago, I decided the best way I could serve you all was not to act as some activist minister, but simply as a minister here only to serve the people. To approach each demonstration with an assumed innocent naivety, oblivious to the whole ongoing battle. I planned to treat every moment as solemn, not to get too emotional, or to satirize the opposition. This wasn't a perfect plan, as many of you behind the scenes know my sense of humor. However, the greater of my folly was to think I could play my part without getting emotional. For every single time I came downtown to help these couples make their statement, the humanity of the moment, of their plight, their love, your love, assaulted me. Whether it was the couples in tears from their love being rejected by the state, or the greater tears of joy after undergoing my simple little ceremony, the tears were contagious. I'm just glad the cameras were more interested in the couples. So, therein lies your greatest power, humanity. Your humanity, and the humanity of those you have opposed. You must not forget this, for while the legal battle seems to have been won, you must continue to forge your place.